Hello and welcome to today's Monday Live, where you've got Stephanie, founder of the HD Advocate, and we've got Eleni
Hello,
Spiridis
live
from,
from New York. Good
yeah,
morning.
live from New York. Exactly. So a lot of you, we've been talking a lot about university and people going back to university, ADHDers, and I know there's been quite a few that have already started back, some that are still kind of waiting and preparing. And it's a time that can be very stressful, can't it, Eleni, for ADHDers for many, many reasons.
100%. When many students get back to university and the next sort of period in their course of study is about to begin, many ADHDers have a tendency to almost second guess their intentions and their plan, which was, most likely really well thought out and fairly structured. But this self-doubt is something that we recognize with ADHD can massively get in our way.
Yeah. So today we wanted to just quickly talk to you about interdependence versus independence, because as we know in education, probably as a parent, if you're watching, it'll be probably the same kind of message you give to your children, is that the goal, the academic goal, the life goal for all kids and students is independence, that you need to do this independently on your own. Why can't you do this by yourself? Now, often as a parent with ADHD, you're saying that because you are completely overwhelmed and don't have the time to be there and kind of usher your child along, and you just really want them to do it by themselves. But
It's a
obviously,
really
it's got, yeah, go on. Sorry,
No,
Lenny.
I agree, Stephanie. It's a really fine line because from even a young age, we want to teach our kids and encourage them to be sort of resourceful and independent thinking and able to, survive in this world to when left to their own devices. But for many with ADHD, that goal is just not only not realistic, it requires so much effort to even think about going down that path. And that's where we can really get tripped up.
Yeah, it's funny. I just heard you say, Lenny, resourceful. Resourceful is not the same thing as, independent in terms of doing it on your own, is it? Resourceful, what we see in coaching, certainly the ADHDers that are really thriving, because of their ADHD and not in spite of it, they're resourceful. They very much accept they cannot do everything, don't want to do everything on their own. They just don't, or not want to do anything particular things at all, right? And they're able to kind of accept that, and they're able to delegate it and kind of just do the things that they're brilliant at and lean into the strengths. And that's kind of where they get their success from. Now, the problem with education is we don't have that choice. Students, particularly in high school, right, they can't go, geography, yes, not for me, not my strength. If they have to do it, for instance, in the early years, it's something that they just have to do, just not easy when there's no authentic interest there, as we know.
100%. As they get older and students are encouraged to work in groups and collaborate, that's a wonderful skill to have. But for many with ADHD, the benefits of doing so and recognizing the benefits from a far earlier stage in their educational journey can be massively, massively helpful.
Yeah. ADHD is, particularly if that interest isn't there, they try and inject it. Usually the injection of interest comes from connecting with others, talking about it. Like for some of our students that struggle to revise subjects they're not that interested in, we very much recommend, a study group that they kind of talk things through. Usually what I find is really funny when maybe one of their friends knows something or disagrees with what, the ADHD student has come up with. And then the ADHD student is very, very kind of dedicated to kind of proving them wrong. And so they really get into their study to be able to prove that point. It's got to be relevant, and people and, ADHDers love to kind of collaborate and to synergize. Their brain comes alive. And so we are very much about interdependence. We very much see how beneficial it is for ADHDers to achieve their goals.
Yes, no, well said, Stephanie. And nowhere is this more apparent than in a student's academic journey. So the recognizing that certain study skills, accountability, authentic interest, that these are the things that motivate our ADHDers to stay on track and stay focused and ultimately be successful.
Yeah. Now, we hear a lot of objections when we do talk to university students. I was talking to one the other day, and the first objection was, I'm not a child. And I'm not surprised. I mean, it makes me very sad to hear that. But I completely get it. Eleni, I'm sure you do too. The message that us ADHDers get from a very early age that kind of continues again, why can't you do this yourself? You're not a child. And that's a shame, isn't it?
It is. It's a big shame. And when that message, that self, that we recognize in ourselves that we need some support, for those around us that maybe don't get it, it's very hard to mask that, or we wind up masking that, and we wind up compensating. And unfortunately, that's how we learn to operate, or to study, or to survive, and sort of covering up that need that we have can also be an outcome that is not going to serve any of us well in the long run.
Yeah, because the problem with that narrative is that, the ADHD will not then ask for help, right? Because if they're already seen to be deficient, that they're a child, they're going to really want to show everyone that they can do things all by themselves. They don't need anyone else. And that's a huge issue, because the biggest strategy for an ADHD, the most effective one, is the body double strategy. That's how us ADHDers get out of our own way. We can do things for others that we can't do for ourselves. The body double provides that accountability, that stimulation for the brain to kind of get going, where in some situations it won't. So we've got to be really careful with what we tell ADHDers, and very much education needs to change this message of the goal being independence. You see it in all the education, health and care plans. It's all about what do we put in place for independence. And, you see that for all the ADHDers, and you can just see as coaches, we can see where this leads, and it's not a good place.
Yeah, it's not setting them up for success that's going to be sustainable. Not by any means. You're 100% spot on, Stephanie. But the space that we create for students to hold in the form of either coaching individually or in the study hall sessions that will be part of our academic success program really does provide that. It's structured with a coach. It's a coach that is really listening to where you need support and where you need help, and giving you feedback on that. And that is what is going to fuel our ADHD brains to stay on track and be successful.
Yeah, so we're really excited to offer this program. We're rolling it out to universities starting middle of next month, which is ADHD Awareness Month, which Advocate is going to be celebrating in a big way. We're doing our daily lives like we did last year, but this time we're going via LinkedIn, 1 p.m. So do join us at 1 p.m. from, I think, 2nd of October. And the theme, it is interdependence. And that's, we've taken from Dr. Hallowell in his book, ADHD 2.0, where he says, the life goal for ADHD should be interdependence, not independence. And we're completely on board with that. And that's what we will be emphasizing, and that's kind of what message we'll be giving to all the students that join our programs. And the earlier they can take this on board, the earlier they can accept it and start operating, changing their operating system with this in mind, the sooner they're going to be able to start thriving and realizing their potential, because without this mindset, they will never reach their potential, I'm afraid.
100%,
right?
Stephanie. 100%. Yes, to take control of that narrative and just spin it in a positive way. And as you said, recognize the authentic interest and what is going to help their brain stay engaged and to ultimately thrive.
Yeah, so we very much look forward to helping turn these stories around. If you want more information on our University Success Program, we'll put a link in this thread. And we really hope to see the students very soon and help them tell a new, more empowering story about their ADHD. But have a great week. Thanks, Lenny.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, Steph. Bye.
See you next week.